Hello again, and welcome to another of Mosaic's coffee breaks. Mosaic is, of course, a collaboration of the organisations shown at the front of this presentation, and that collaboration focuses very much on the ownership issues associated with mid-market law firms. And when we say ownership, we mean everything associated with ownership, mergers and acquisitions, partnership structures, succession planning, partner exits, and everything associated with all of those issues. I hope you enjoy this broadcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Mosaic coffee session. Those of you that have been following us off and on since we started recording these chats back in the early days of the pandemic might think we do precious little other than meet via Zoom and talk about hot topics of the day and bother you every January with utterly hopeless forecasts about what the year ahead brings. We thought it might be appropriate, if you'll bear with us, to remind you of what it is we all actually do. So today's session is a reminder of what each of us do as individuals and why we collaborate together as Mosaic. I'm going to start by inviting my colleague Howard Hackney to remind me what he does in the legal sector.
Thank you, Nigel, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone, as the case may be, wherever you're watching it. Yes, I'm a chartered accountant. My firm's a firm of chartered accountants. It's broadly me with, say, half a dozen subcontractors who I work with as and when necessary. And basically, we're an advisory-only firm of chartered accountants. That means we don't do any of the compliance rubbish, should I say. No audit, no accounts preparation, no tax returns. And I always say to people, why do it? Why do compliance? It's risky, it's badly paid, and it's boring. So I only do the special, interesting work. Special projects is perhaps the best way of describing it. And that's for two focuses, foci. One for law firms and professional practices, broadly with between 1 and say 30 partners. And then family businesses, broadly with between 1 and say 50 million turnover. So that's my other specialism, and it's anything of a special nature that people want to throw at me.
And Howard, you have an excellent reputation in both of those sectors, and I've certainly enjoyed working alongside you now for what is approaching a decade.
More, I'd say, actually. I set up 14 years ago now. 14 years ago, 6 months and 10 days.
So it is a long time. Okay, so I'll go next. So I'm a solicitor, non-practicing now, former managing partner here in the Northwest. And Howard focuses on two areas. My activities are threefold. I work as a critical friend to law firm leaders. Like everybody on this call, to one degree or another, I do mergers and acquisitions in the legal sector. But I think I'm probably best known for my work in value pricing, an area which I experienced while still in private practice in 2013, saw my troops get trained in it, saw what a transformative effect it could have on practice. And after leaving private practice, went into that area with what was then probably the leading pricing consultancy in the UK. I've now been on my own for over a year. I teach pricing at master's level for the College of Law Australia. I've probably trained over 100 firms in about 10 jurisdictions, and it's an area I thoroughly enjoy, and obviously watching firms reap the rewards of investing in pricing training is something I find very, very satisfying. So I'm still open for business in that area. Enough of me. I'll move on to our newest member, if I may now, Tom Blandford from Surson.
Thank you, Nigel. Yes, so much like Howard, I'm also a chartered accountant of sort of roughly 20 years standing. And unlike Howard, I have been under my own flag for just a few weeks now, having been a partner in a variety of firms prior to that. Throughout my career, I've always specialised in professional practice firms and law firms, and so under my own flag, that's very much what I still do. And I probably break down into two areas. So one is to be an outsourced finance director for law firms. So with you, a day a week, a day a month, a day a quarter, whatever is appropriate for your firm, and doing a lot of that sort of strategic financial input into your firm. So forecasts, budgets, scenario plans, benchmarking, and so really driving cash generation as a finance director in-house, but at a fraction of the cost because I'm only there so many days per year. And then the other side of it is that same idea, finance projects for law firms, strategic finance projects for law firms, which might be mergers and acquisitions, two words that have been mentioned a lot so far, but might also be refinancings with the banks, might be bonus schemes for your fee earners, might be your partners' remuneration strategies and profit shares. Again, those sort of, once in a generation or one-off projects that you either perhaps might not trust your existing finance team with, or probably more likely they just don't have the time or the skills to do. So I will sort of come in, get them done, and be on my merry way.
Tom, thank you for that. And I don't know how my colleagues are feeling, but as I hear you explain what it is you offer, I'm immediately thinking of 2 or 3 of my clients that I ought to introduce you to. I can't imagine you're going to be short of work, Tom. Mark, would you be good enough to go next?
Of course, thank you. Hello, everybody. All of these lovely things that everyone talks about here need some legal agreements to make them happen. So I'm the practicing lawyer within the group, and I do mainly M&A within the legal sector, buy and sell law firms, and I've worked with pretty much everybody else on that and enjoyed the process as much as it is possible. I get involved in restructuring, partners in, partners out, willingly or otherwise. I shouldn't say that otherwise is sometimes a bit more interesting. So, I've been working in the professional practices sector for about 15 years now, which is when I first met Howard 15 years ago, and I've known the others for a long time too. So, and Bennett Briegel, I'm half of it, obviously. Paul Bennett isn't with us today, is the other half, and Paul is very much into regulation, compliance, and those things. Very good at helping law firms with their engagement letters and dealing with SRA complaints. And as I say, that those clients who accidentally get confused between current account and client account. So, but we're there to support law firms in their own legal work.
And you're absolutely right, Mark. It's very easy to get confused, especially if both accounts begin with the letter C.
Exactly.
Barry, wind us up if you would.
Okay, well, there's a little bit of overlap, I guess, with what Tom and Howard have said. I'm Barry Wilkinson, and I run Wilkinson Reed and Partners. I went out on my own now, hardly believing this as I wrote it down, almost 30 years ago, and for the last 20, I have dealt only with small and medium-sized law firms between £2 and £10 million turnover. I had an interesting break when the last recession hit everyone, when I was asked to write the book on cash flow management for law firms, which is obviously very, very pertinent then and likely to be pertinent in the next year or two. Off the back of that, we developed a diagnostic routine which gets into the guts of small law firms, as they say, under the bonnet, see what are the issues that need to be addressed. And from that, what we tend to come up with is 3 sets of issues. Those are the clients are actually very pleased about, because we say they're really simple, just get on and do it. You can sort it yourself with the confidence. Second category are things that we happen to think we are among the best in the land at, and therefore we'd like to have a conversation. And the third, a crucial part of our output is there are things that we know a bit about, might know quite a lot about, but don't specialize in. But we do know who are the experts, and then we can therefore refer our clients on comfortably to real expertise, and hence the benefits of the relationship with Mosaic, because several of the experts are on this on this recording now, and that tends then to get me away from the projects and quite often into longer running relationships, not at the level that Tom would do as a full-time finance director, but as a trusted advisor closer to your critical friend, Nigel. And that's the bulk of it, supplemented also by things which I I really enjoy, which is training lawyers in finance. It's so nice to have bright people who want to learn something different, and you know they're going to pick it up. And that also moves into doing strategy days, which again are great fun.
Barry, that's really helpful. In fact, I've worked for, I can think of 3 clients off the top of my head that have been working with you for the best part of a decade. I think one of the things that's important to all of us is the relationships that we enjoyed in the work that we have. So we're going to wrap up the call there. I hope you'll all forgive us for reminding you what we do as individuals as part of Mosaic. And the other thing, obviously, to add at the end of this call is if you're watching this through LinkedIn, you can contact us through LinkedIn. If you're watching us through Twitter, you can reach out that way. If all of that's a little bit beyond you, we still have a website and our personal contact details are there. So if you've got any questions for us, please interact. We're more than happy to pick up any questions on a no obligation basis. And so until the next time, it's goodbye from me and from everyone at Mosaic.
Goodbye.
Cheerio.